On the night of October 28, 2019, a routine bus journey between two small towns in the north of the country turned into one of the most enduring mysteries in recent history. A driver, 9 passengers, and a vehicle disappeared somewhere along a quiet stretch of rural highway. No crash site. No debris. No answers. To this day, the Millbridge night bus remains officially missing. The Route 9 night service was operated by Northline Transport, running every Friday between the industrial town of Millbridge and the quieter community of Carroway, 30 miles to the east. The road between them, the B211, was mostly rural. Flat farmland, occasional woodland, and a handful of rest stops. It was quiet, but it was reliable. The bus that night was a 2006 Meriton coachliner, an older but dependable model, recently cleared through inspection. It was driven by Thomas Avery, a 47-year-old veteran driver with a spotless record and over a decade of experience at Northline. According to the company's manifest, there were 9 passengers on board. Emily Hart, 27, a nurse finishing a late shift. Ryan Lowe and Marcus Patel, college students traveling home. George and Linda Dalton, a couple in their early 50s visiting family in Carroway. Daniel Rook, a local factory worker. Leah Cross, 33, and her 6-year-old daughter Amy. And one unidentified passenger who paid in cash and was never logged in the system. At 11:47 p.m., the bus departed from Millbridge Terminal, 2 minutes behind schedule, and began the 55-minute journey toward Carroway. It would never arrive. Security cameras at the Millbridge Terminal captured the bus leaving the lot. Thomas Avery appeared calm, performing a standard light check before pulling away. At 12:02 a.m., the bus's onboard GPS pinged just outside the village of Fox Hollow, confirming it was traveling normally at 48 miles per hour. At 12:14 a.m., another GPS signal placed it near Marlowe's Bend, a sharp turn known for thick fog. That was the last digital trace ever received from the bus. After 12:14 a.m., all communications stopped. The following morning, when dispatchers began the early shift at Millbridge Depot, they noticed that the Route 9 return manifest hadn't been logged. Assuming a minor breakdown, they contacted Carroway Station to confirm the bus's arrival. It hadn't shown up. By 9 a.m., with no contact from the driver and no passengers reporting delays, Northline Transport officially notified local authorities. Search teams were dispatched to scour the B211 route. Officers drove every stretch between Millbridge and Carroway. Helicopters scanned the surrounding farmland. But no bus was found. No tire marks, no shattered glass, not even a discarded sign of distress. Detective Inspector Helen Moore, who led the early investigation, would later say, "We expected to find something within hours. A crash site, a body of water disturbed, even a scrap of metal. But there was nothing. The road looked untouched." The 30-mile stretch between Millbridge and Carroway was empty. As the hours turned into days, the search expanded outward. Local volunteers, firefighters, and rescue dogs joined the effort. Drones were deployed, mapping every field and tree line. Nearby rivers and ponds were drained. The largest body of water, Lake Penrick, was searched repeatedly by divers. Nothing. No trace of the 40-foot bus or its 10 occupants. Then a week later, a clue surfaced, small but deeply unsettling. A farmer named Ewan Briggs, who lived nearly 10 miles off the main road, contacted police to report something unusual. He'd found a bus ticket stub lodged in a fence near his property. It was just lying there, dry as anything, Briggs told investigators. But it had poured the night before. That's what made me notice it. The stub was examined and confirmed as genuine. It matched the printing batch used by Northline, and the timestamp read 11:46 p.m., the exact departure time from Millbridge Terminal. Investigators never determined how it ended up so far from the road, or why it was in near-perfect condition. Forensic teams began working through the passengers' digital records. Most phones had stopped transmitting shortly after midnight, their last known signals placing them near Marlowe's Bend, the same location as the final GPS ping. Only 2 phones were ever recovered. The first belonged to Ryan Lowe, one of the college students. His phone was found by hikers near a drainage ditch about 5 miles east of Fox Hollow. The second belonged to Leah Cross, discovered 8 miles away in tall grass, completely intact but mysteriously wiped of all recent data. Ryan's phone, however, held something remarkable. A 19-second unsent voice memo, recorded at 12:11 a.m., 3 minutes before the GPS signal disappeared. In the recording, a low hum of the bus engine can be heard, followed by faint chatter. Then a woman's voice, believed to be Emily Hart, says, "That's strange, there's no." A crackling noise follows and then silence. The message ends abruptly. Audio specialists later confirmed there was no sign of tampering, though they couldn't identify the source of the interference. Though Route 9 was sparsely traveled, a few witnesses recalled seeing a bus that night. A gas station attendant in Brookvale, about halfway along the route, reported watching a large vehicle pass around midnight. "There was fog that night, really low to the ground. I saw headlights, then a bus go by. Didn't stop. Just kept going slow through the mist." Another motorist driving west claimed to have seen what looked like taillights ahead of him at around 12:20 a.m., before they faded into the fog. Investigators found both testimonies plausible, consistent with the known timing, but inconclusive. Then came the testimony of Margaret Avery, Thomas's wife. She told detectives that her husband always texted her before his final route of the day, a habit he never broke. He'd always send the same message, "Last trip, then home." But that night nothing came through. "I called him a few times around midnight, it rang once, then went to voicemail. The next morning that call wasn't in my history anymore. Just gone." Police couldn't verify that detail, but her statement was kept in the case file. Weeks passed without progress. The search radius expanded to include nearby quarries and construction sites. Old maps were checked for forgotten access roads or mine shafts. Authorities even reviewed satellite imaging for any sign of large ground disturbances. None were found. As public attention grew, so did speculation. Detective Moore announced in a press briefing, "We have no evidence of foul play at this stage, but we also have no indication of an accident." Every lead brings us back to the same 18-mile gap between Marlowe's Bend and Carroway. Police explored 3 main theories: mechanical failure and submersion. The bus could have left the road and entered deep water, though none was found along the route. Deliberate rerouting. The driver might have intentionally diverted from the road, though no motive or route was identified. Technological glitch. A loss of GPS and mobile signal due to atmospheric interference, but experts said it was highly improbable for all systems to fail simultaneously. An internal memo leaked online mentioned an unregistered service road about 8 miles north of Marlowe's Bend. Satellite scans showed faint tire tracks leading into an abandoned quarry site, overgrown and long disused. When investigators visited the area, they found no trace of the bus, only overgrowth and a silent expanse of gravel. Without answers, the story began to attract armchair investigators. Online forums offered theories ranging from mechanical cover-ups to criminal abduction. More grounded possibilities included driver disorientation in fog, or a sinkhole collapse, though geological surveys found no disturbances along the B211. A retired traffic investigator, Gerald Keane, reviewed the case years later and offered his conclusion. Even in total fog, a 40-foot bus leaves marks. Skid tracks, oil residue, debris, something. The complete lack of trace isn't just unusual, it's statistically impossible. Still, no evidence ever pointed to foul play, sabotage, or environmental disaster. The last credible discovery came 2 years later, when a seat cover washed ashore on Lake Penrick, matching Northline's blue-gray pattern. But the serial code didn't match the missing vehicle. Soon after, an anonymous envelope arrived at Millbridge Police containing a phone case matching the model used by one of the students. It was postmarked from a county nearly 200 miles away. No fingerprints. No note. In 2024, the Millbridge disappearance remains officially unsolved. The case has been reopened twice, most recently in 2023, when new satellite imaging was analyzed for anomalies along the B211. Nothing conclusive was found. The route itself was renamed, and the Route 9 service was permanently retired. Each year, on the anniversary of the disappearance, the families of the missing gather at Carroway Terminal. They light candles and place flowers on the platform that was supposed to receive the bus that never came. Detective Moore, now retired, summarized the enduring mystery in a later interview. "Sometimes a case just stops. You exhaust every lead, every theory, and still nothing fits. The data says the bus was there, and then it wasn't. That's what keeps you up at night. Residents who live near the old route still talk about the disappearance. Most say it's best left alone. But some truckers claim that on foggy nights, when visibility drops and the air goes still, they sometimes see faint headlights on a field road, motionless, deep in the mist, before vanishing entirely. There's no proof of those claims. But even years later, when locals drive the B211 past Marlowe's Bend, few glance into the fog for long. Because somewhere between Fox Hollow and Carroway, 10 people vanished, leaving behind nothing but a time-stamped ticket, a broken voice recording, and a silence that has lasted for years.